And we're back after a brief break. This is Joe Flores, South Texas Now. And thank you for always supporting us. We're here with former Judge Terry Shamsie and also one of the best attorneys I know. And we're talking about the audio and video recording of jury deliberations. And also we want to look at a segment of that. Throughout the show, we've kind of shown a little bit of the cutaway of it, but let's hear it.
Can you believe that?
But I knew that was going to come up. It was brought up last year.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's always recording.
Yeah.
So technically, once the case is over, we go back in. We knew there was going to be a problem a year ago. But there's no way to say what.
We can turn off the monitor.
Well, the monitor, but it still continue recording.
Mm-hmm.
If the GVR never stops, we'll have to turn off the RPK. But it's that chicken shit, get over it.
Did somebody make a complaint?
No. Because if someone did, then probably could turn it off, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's big of a deal.
Well, and my whole thing is they're trying to make it seem like they just learned about this yesterday. I was like, no, the prosecutors were here last week.
They were in there.
And even Doug Norman was like, it's muted, right? And I want to say that was probably Wednesday. And somebody was like, yeah, it's muted. He's like, oh, okay, it should be okay then. So I'm like, yeah, no.
It's just their butter. Do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just saw this clip of about a minute, and for the record, you know, pardon the pun, for the record, it's not showing any of the deliberation. The jurors are protected, but there was a glass in there, and that's where they were because of COVID. So instead of being in a jury room like sardines, like they usually are, they were out there where you pick a jury or where somebody can go watch a trial.
That's correct.
So they're basically out in the open. People can hear, prosecutors can hear, mics can pick up.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this. In the jury room, if they didn't have COVID, would they have been recorded in any manner, if you know?
If the door was open, yes.
Because the mic is powerful.
The mic is very powerful.
I heard the bailiff said, I knew there was going to be something, you know, to the effect of, I knew that we're going to have some blowback because of this.
That's right.
And he said something that alarmed me. It happened last year.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So that means that this has happened again and again then, perhaps.
Correct. Now, they knew about it last year, and we know now, according to the testimony of two of the witnesses, that most likely two other jurors deliberations were recorded as well.
Do jurors get notice that they are being recorded the minute they walk in?
Yeah, that's a good question. They did not get notice. In fact, they're told the exact opposite. And on this particular case, right before they're getting ready to deliberate, one of the jurors looked up and pointed at a camera. The bailiff came in and told him, look, this room is all yours. This is all yours, only for you. In other words, indicating that no one's watching, no one's listening, nothing like that is private.
Really?
Yeah.
But that wasn't true.
That wasn't true.
It was being recorded. What other purposes could it be used for that could wreak havoc in the judicial system?
Well, it's never been done before, first of all. I know that people blame COVID, but there was COVID trials all over the state of Texas, and those COVID trials in the courthouse. There was one trial occurring right across the hall. No other judge has had this problem. No other judge has recorded, to my knowledge, any jury deliberations in Nueces County. So basically what this was is they knew the risk and they knew they were recording. But who's going to know? Who's ever going to come out and look for that evidence, right? And that's the bet they made. And they lost the bet because I happened to get a court order to authorize me to get it. And I retried it.
And with all due respect, this is a former prosecutor turned judge.
That's right.
So to the nth power knows the law.
Yeah, right. You know, everybody, anyone that probably got past third grade knows you don't listen to someone else's confession at the Catholic Church, and you don't listen to jury deliberations because it's sacred. It is serious. It's so serious that when you go to deliberate as a juror, the door is not a glass door. It's a thick wooden door. And they put ropes around where you're at, so no one can wander into your space and listen, right? So there's a lot of protection to that jury. In some courts, they remove the jury from that floor and bring them to a separate floor where no one can get access to them because everybody knows you don't talk to jurors, you don't socialize with the jurors.
The judges tell us that.
Sure, the judges tell you that.
The judges ream us out if we go and talk to a juror or do anything. I don't even say anything but nod and don't even say good morning.
That's right. That's right. So I'm deeply offended. I've been doing this practice 35 years. I've never heard of such conduct. I've never heard of allowing people to gather in the judge's office to watch a jury or to display jury deliberations because their defense is, well, it was on, but we kind of glanced at it here and now, right? That was the issue. The problem that they have with that is happenstance. When that trial was occurring, I saw the prosecutor, Holt Feimster, who was trying the case, and the jury was out, and I asked him, how's the jury? And he told me, well, they're split 6-6, and it might be a hung jury. Later that afternoon, I asked him, "What is the jury back, or is it hung?" And he said, "No, it's split 9-3, and one lady is giving us a hard time."
How does he know all this?
Well, because he was watching it. That's the only way he would know. Because I went back and got all the jury notes. As you know, sometimes juries have questions and they send out a note.
Sure.
None of the notes contained the split on what the jury was.
So there was the only way he could know was by watching the video.
That's right. Now, I brought that point up in March of this year. I didn't get my hands on the hard drive until late July of this year. And that hard drive showed the jury did, in fact, vote 2 times.
Why the delay? You asked for it.
Well, no, because the first time I had the case in March, I didn't know that there was a recording. Later in the second case that I handled, what I call case 2, 3, and 4, we found an email that indicated that the jurors might have been recorded.
Now, I'm burning up now. Now, wait a minute. The prosecutor knows stuff that you don't know.
Exactly.
And you're trying to defend somebody, that could be innocent and was, in fact, found innocent.
Yeah, he was.
And they were keeping score. They were playing inside baseball, sounds like.
That's exactly right. And the issue then became, because I asked him those questions in March about how he knew the split. And then I found out in July when I got the forensics that's how he knew the split, because they voted by raising their hands. So if they're watching the camera, they could see the split. Because the camera is great, man. Let me tell you, the audio on the camera is great.
Well, we just saw it. I mean, it looks like
it's clear as day.
Paramount Pictures.
Yeah, it's clear as day.
Yeah, it's clear. And the audio that you heard, the bailiff, what he was saying, I knew something was going to come from this.
That's right.
To paraphrase.
Right, and the defense lawyer saying, well, last Wednesday we were in there, and they knew, and referring that the state's attorneys knew about this, and we were in there, and Doug Norman said, well, it's okay as long as it's muted.
But Doug came clean, right?
Yeah, Doug came clean. What happened was Doug wasn't really involved. He went up there because he thought there was going to be preparing for the punishment phase, so they needed a punishment charge.
Yeah.
So he's the appellate guy, right? So he wasn't there the whole time, right?
Right.
He's there for 2 times, maybe 10, 15 minutes each. So very brief. Those guys were there for a full day and a couple hours on the day preceding.
With popcorn, a pickle, and a Coke, watching them deliberate.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And
ridiculous.
This must have took some stones for you to bring up, because in Zoom cases, ladies and gentlemen out there in TV land, now as lawyers, we have to appear in everybody's live and wired on TV. I mean, you may be at home in your car or whatever, but you're appearing in. So you called out the judge on this.
Called her out.
How many lawyers were there a couple of dozen that morning? For
that morning,
my
my first hearing, there was probably about, I'm going to say 12, 14 lawyers. There was a lot against me.
Did you have any reservations about?
No, didn't have. I'm so offended. I'm so offended by those lawyers that watched it, by the judge that didn't take control of the courtroom, by the bailiff who's supposed to protect that jury, and when he saw that, he should have told him, "You guys need to take a hike, get out of this room." By no one turning off the monitor. And by the judge not acknowledging that it took place, right? So I'm deeply offended because here's the problem. I think most Americans believe that government is always watching you. They're always watching you, tracking your phones, whatever. I believe that. A lot of people believe that. A lot of people distrust, the executive branch, the presidency, the Senate, the Congress, right? Because they're not doing what's good for the people. They don't trust them. So the last branch of government is the judicial branch, and that's always been seen to be kind of the pure branch,
Yeah, like the judge is perfect. Right. They don't lie. They don't do anything wrong.
That's right. They're the clean ones. So this so tainted, I believe, the judiciary that when people see, man, even the judges aren't following the law, and neither are the lawyers. It affects all the good judges, right? Because I've been in front of, 50 to 100 judges, and they've always been good. They may not have agreed with me, ruled against me, but they've never tainted my jury. They've never given me such a hard time I couldn't try my case. And so now I'm going to have jurors that potentially say, well, I'd like to talk about certain issues in Mr. Shamsie's criminal case, but, man, they could be listening to me or recording me, and I won't get my jury.
The other last thing, we just have a minute left. Things have flown by, but let me, let's use the worst case scenario. A sicario, a hitman from the cartel, is on trial.
That's right.
And he sends a lawyer or paralegal in there. They snatch up your exhibit. We only show to protect the jury. Right. We only showed a very small fraction of just the staff and things there, but it's a public record. But they could potentially listen to jury deliberations and maybe waste somebody.
Yeah, they'll find out who's the bad person, who's the person that was driving the charge. On this case, this was a murder case, by the way. They were listening to a murder case, and the person that was charged with it was a convicted felon. So this was not a light case. This was a very, very serious case, first-degree felony case. And if the defendant would have been found guilty, let's assume that. Man, there's a whole lot of problems now, right? You got prosecutorial misconduct. You got judicial misconduct. Does the judgment stick? If it's reversed, is it double jeopardy? You have a lot of issues. And that is brought about by simply this. Bad judges, bad ethics. That's all it is. These problems are caused by people that are supposed to follow the law, enforce the law, and they don't.
We're out of time, but I'd like to bring back Terry Shamsie and see where this leads and other cases. If you have the time to come back, we'd love to have you back.
I appreciate you having me here.
Terry Shamsie talking about a matter of public concern, a matter of public record. The video that you saw, once again, for our broadcasters and for the audience, was a matter of public record, and that is Exhibit S in the case. And we're out of time. Thank you, and God bless.